Let's now bring in Nargis Nehan, who is a women's rights activist. Thank you so very much for joining me today. Absolutely shocking situation, to say the very least. Tell me, just how dire is this for women and girls?
The situation in Afghanistan is really bad and dire for every Afghan, including Afghan women and Afghan girls. We are let down by the world, especially the United States. The young generation of Afghanistan, women and girls, we all stood with the United States and NATO state members in fight against terrorism. But we were shocked to see that after 20 years, they recognize the same people as part of Afghanistan and as our internal problem to deal with, and they just suddenly decided to withdraw from Afghanistan. And the withdrawal that they decided to have was very irresponsible, and we already see the consequence of that on Afghan people. And it has been a very irresponsible withdrawal and decision that the US and the NATO state members have taken about Afghanistan.
Nargis, we had a guest on just a little earlier who said this is a different Taliban than what we saw 20 or so years ago. How do you feel about that? What is your opinion on that?
We Afghans, we have been betrayed by everybody, the international community, our own leaders and politicians, Taliban, everybody. Now we do not trust anybody by words. People have to walk their talks so that we trust them and we see that they have really changed. In case of Taliban, only time will tell us how much they have evolved. Once they form their government, we have to see that what policies they are putting in place for especially women and girls and minorities of Afghanistan, and what kind of governments they are forming, and how they are going to interpret and implement Sharia law in Afghanistan. Is it going to be the same that was very repressive before, or is it going to be something moderate? Only time will tell us. Other than that, we don't trust in any statement or in any promise anymore.
Nargis, there are so many heart-wrenching stories coming out of this shocking situation. Tell me, what are some of the stories that have hit you the hardest?
I mean, all of us, in 2002, when the world intervened in Afghanistan, I was a refugee in Pakistan myself. Millions of us, we went to Afghanistan. Our expectation was to rebuild our country. And our commitment was to make sure that the next generation of Afghanistan should not go to the same hurdle that we went. And they should have their identity, they should have their home, and they should work for a better Afghanistan, something that will keep them hopeful no matter how difficult the situation would be. The hardest things has been for us that many of us had the commitment of staying in Afghanistan and working for our people, no matter how hard the situation is going to get. So leaving the country and the people behind has been the hardest for us. Mm-hmm. And then we also saw the security situation in the airport. It's not only Kabul airport. While the international media is focused on the Kabul airport, but if we cover and if you look at the border of Afghanistan, whether it is the border that we are sharing with Pakistan or any other neighboring country, the situation is as dire as in Kabul airport. So everybody wants to flee the country, and that shows the level of frustration and the level of scare that people are with the new regime that is on their way, that is going to be formed.
I think the big question that a lot of people are asking, people who are outside Afghanistan, is what can they do to help? Tell us, is there anything that can be done at this point?
First of all, we are very much grateful for the whole world that we have experienced being abandoned before as well when the Soviet Union withdrew from Afghanistan. The difference that we see this time is that we have the coverage of the international media that they're constantly talking about the situation in Afghanistan. While we are not happy about the brain drain that's going on in Afghanistan, and most of our educated people that we need them for reconstruction of our country, they're leaving Afghanistan. But still, we know that being inside Afghanistan right now, there's also high security risk for them. So their evacuation to different countries and the hospitality that we are all receiving from the government and as well as from the people, for this we are very much grateful. But let's remember one thing, that there are 38 million people living in Afghanistan. We cannot evacuate all of them. We need your support to put pressure on the United Nations that they should have an emergency meeting on Afghanistan. They should call on those countries that they are sponsoring and they are waging proxy war in Afghanistan. They should stop the proxy war in Afghanistan. And they should let us, even if you're a poor country, I prefer to stay in my muddy house and be with my people rather than staying in another country and help my people. So we need to find some way to continue raising voice of the voiceless in Afghanistan, continue to make sure that we convince the Taliban for formation of a national and inclusive government, that not only the people of same mentality from different ethnicities, but actually people from different ideologies and backgrounds and minorities are part of the government. They are not implementing the repressive Sharia law, which is restricting movement and development and advancement of women. And then we make sure that we hold them accountable for every action that they're taking in Afghanistan. So we need to pay more attention and make sure that we continuously monitor the situation. But what is more important, that we do not give general statements that we are with Afghanistan, we are going to support the Afghan people, but then on the ground very little is happening. We have this very bad experience that while some of us, we were in the civil society, we were fighting corruption, we were talking about the impunity, but we would see that the international partners would be partying and meeting all those people that we were raising our voice against them. So it's important that we make sure that this time we have consistency. If we are all saying that we do not accept any repressive law that will suppress the minorities or women of Afghanistan, we will be supporting for human rights and women's rights, and we will be recognizing a government that will respect the rights of all citizens of Afghanistan, including the women, minorities, and others. We remain consistent with that. So we do not keep on changing our policies. Today, if we have Taliban capturing Kabul and Afghanistan so easily, is because of the consistency that they had in their vision and in their mission, and the inconsistency that we had on our side. So if today they are winning, it's not their victory, it's actually our loss because of our weakness, lack of coordination, and lack of consistency that we had in our fight against terrorism and as well as in the building of Afghanistan.
Nargis, your voice is so very important. Thank you very much for coming on to chat to us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.